4.90 highlights update is here, and it talks about the Guardian Ring, which is the duplicate legendary system. In this video, we're going to be focusing on the Unbind champions and token trader. I went through and watched the videos of my fellow content creators here and was able to find images showing the actual pricing from the test servers of the champions. This is going to be the focus of this here. There is two primary issues with what we can see here. First and foremost is going to be pricing. For each champion, legendary duplicate champion that you sacrifice, you will be getting 500 tokens. You can now do the math and see Minanya is going to be 5 duplicate legendary champions. Tomb Lord is going to be 6 duplicate legendary champions. And why am I saying duplicate, not just legendary champions unbinding? Well, they didn't actually describe it perfectly in the videos, but in order to unbind a champion, it must be a duplicate. You cannot unbind champions that you just no longer want or that are really bad. If you pull a legendary that you think is completely worthless, unless you pull another one of those completely worthless legendaries, you cannot begin the sacrifice process towards people like the Sir Nicholas. Why is this such a bummer? Well, Sir Nicholas is going to require 8 sacrifices. To be able to get 8 duplicate legendary champions in this day and age is akin to like $10,000. It is very difficult to continually get duplicate legendary champions in a game where even with the patch that has the duplicate legendary system that requires them to be the same legendary, they're releasing even more legendaries. This is consistent in every patch. We're seeing more and more legendaries. There's at least a fusion a month. The pool of legendary duplicates is getting watered down. I didn't have a problem with this unbinding feature until I realized it is literally gated at duplicates only. They do not give you the option to sacrifice a champion you do not want anymore. I don't understand why not. It seems arbitrary, as you still are going to be losing that champion anyway, but obviously it's for the monetization purposes. So how does this bit of information fit into the other bits of the system? Well, if we look here, this is from Scratch's video, right? He's showing this is the faction Bannerlord Guardians increasing of stats, okay? Where you basically do the memory matching game, you take pairs, even pairs of heroes, and you put them out there in connection with each other. Now, if you look at the stats, it's for more than one legendary. You can use it for all the legendaries within the faction, and obviously accuracy, resistance, and speed are pretty ridiculous stats to get. What does this mean? This means over time, you basically are going to want to focus on getting the bonus stats as it applies to all champions, and it immediately happens and it doesn't crunch your heroes until you have enough duplicate legendaries to actually crunch to get a hero, okay? Meaning this and the empowerment are going to be drastically more important than the unbinding feature. Why is this a problem? Because I believe, and this is my personal opinion, that the duplicate legendary system was most excited for the potential of re-rolling or getting more resources and not necessarily just bulk stats for bulk extra legendaries. This was exciting, as was the empowerment being exciting, because we also had the unbinding feature, and all three look great together. In its current iteration, with its current pricing and the way you can only unbind people that are duplicates and not just any legendary you want on top of your duplicates, basically makes this feature very difficult to use. Meaning the other features are drastically superior in ease of use as well as rewards, meaning this feature is almost null and void. The only reason this would be great is if you have a massive whale who hasn't managed to pull one of these heroes, who will eventually pull one of these heroes because he's a massive whale. On top of it, maybe this is good for an empowerment system. But if we think about this, if you can buy multiple versions of these same heroes, you would need 80 duplicate legendaries, right? No, that's bad math. Excuse me. 40 duplicate legendaries in order to have Sir Nicholas maxed. You would need 5 of them. It is 8 champions per. That would be 40 champions for 5 Sir Nicholases. Keep in mind 40 champions that you have 40 other champion copies of, because it can't just be 40 champions. That math ends up breaking down to they value maxing out Sir Nicholas through their shop at 8,000 ancient shards. That is effectively the math. And that is if all 8,000 ancient shards, when you go to Pity and pull a legendary, and that's actually 20 shards before Pity, would directly have to land on legendaries you literally already own for all 8,000 shards. So that is the price point of the current Unbinding system, just so you are aware. This will be essentially unusable for me on my $16,000 account that spent all 16 grand before they started pumping out new legendary champions. To give you an idea, I was in a position where the legendary champions I acquire were drastically more duplicate than what it is in today's world, because there was like half, if not less than half as many legendary champions. I mean, fusions weren't really even a thing back in the day when I was constantly welling. And this is basically still going to be unusable for me. Now, I don't believe it has to be usable for me in order for it to be good. I think that's fairly obvious. I'm not the only player in the game. However, if we look at this and we think about future players coming to the game, when you tell a future player, oh, should I join Raid? And you're like, yeah, it's great. You know, it's got this, it's got that, it's got a dupe legendary system, etc. You should be aware, does it actually have a dupe legendary system for them? Because if they have a dupe legendary, as somebody who's new to the game, they have one duplicate legendary. Let's say they get their Arbiter, and then the first legendary they pull is an Arbiter or something, okay? Just to make it easier. They do the fusion, then they pull the fusion, for instance, okay? So they have 2 legendaries fairly easy. They get 500 life tokens. There's nothing they can do with that in the Unbinding system. That has to happen 4 more times to only get a Minanya, and he would have to win a Minanya. So this system is completely unusable for people that haven't spent north of $25,000, for people that are going to be new to the game coming forward, and for people that are light to medium spenders, it's still unusable. The usable part of it, of the duplicate system, is this portion. This is fairly usable. And the empowerment portion that people were, raging about here, like in Ash's video where he was talking about this as well, and where I was talking about this, and where basically everyone's talking about the empowerment system right now. So if the empowerment system and the raw stats are essentially the only realistic usable option, are we really having our cake and eating it too? I think that's sort of the question, is if you make a really shitty version of what we wanted, which is the re-row system, make it so bad that people aren't going to use it, and then make a really strong version of just making your champion stronger with more money, realistically, people are only going to do one of those options. So am I giving them praise for this duplicate legendary system as much as when we saw the video? Fuck no. Because this isn't a usable implementation of what they showed in the video. What they marketed in the video was a easily accessible, I like the word mobile gamer used, the agency of it, basically being able to decide for yourself. And I don't really think you get to do that anymore, because they removed the ability to crunch legendaries that aren't just duplicates. Now, I understand it's a duplicate legendary system, but it seems to me that Unbinding champions would be a fair thing just to be able to do for all champions, just so you can get rid of the ones you don't want. Why would they not do this? I mean, why would they not give us the ability to crunch champions we don't have, so that when they buff them, people would want their champions back and they would rebuy them? Well, if in the life token shop, they basically start selling all the previous fusions constantly, they don't want the whales to be able to skip the new fusions coming out by just crunching the old stuff. They want you to still have to get more and more duplicate legendaries, or else all whales could do is crunch the stuff they don't want anymore out of their vault that's just sitting in their level 1 5-star. Some people are crunching legendaries already, and just use them to get the new good shit. They don't want people to do that. So because of that, it has to be duplicate only. And because it's duplicate only, you do not get to decide who you crunch. The RNG decides who you crunch. And that is the difference. If RNG decides when you're eating your cake and some guy comes into your house, like if you have a cake you really want, but you're not allowed to eat it, and the only way you're allowed to eat your cake is if a guy comes into your house, takes the cake at a time you don't know, and forces it down your throat, that's not really the cake I want. And that is a sort of what is happening with this unbinding system. And for that reason today, I give this a deny on the stamp of approval and say this is not having my cake and eating it too. This is essentially forcing me through eating my cake and not keeping it. You're forcing me through the empowerment and the other faction-based system because of the horribleness of the unbinding rates and the greed of this system. If you agree with this breakdown, let me know in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of this update as well. Like the video if you want to help this out, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Love y'all, and I'll see you on the next video.